Good evening. We are live to the Arsenal world, George.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another Arsenal Fans Forever Women Review Show. It is the end of season review show. It's a big one, so we thought we'd bring out the big guns. Some of them are available, but Dan, how are you doing, mate?
Very good, very good. It's good to have you back after your 6 weeks away, George. So thanks for joining us tonight.
Guardian and leave, so that's fine. Andrew, how you doing, mate? Good to have you back.
Yeah, I've not been away, George. just to say, yeah. Good evening, Gooners. Hope everyone's good.
Yeah, if you noticed a different change in the time, we just wanted to try and mix it up for Andrew.
I did have a panic attack at tea time.
Once again, our podcast and that. How you doing, mate?
Good evening. Yeah, I'm good. Good. I've been having a bit of a break, so it's been quite nice. But it's good to get back in some sort of Arsenal conversation, I suppose.
Yeah, you might regret to say.
No, yeah.
Paul, good to have you back, mate. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad, buddy. Good to be back after a couple of weeks away.
And also, it's debut for the other day. The amazing Laura. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Excited to be on. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem.
Tim's with us as well, George.
Oh, thank you for that audio description prompt. That was really.
That's what I'm here for.
Exactly. I'll pay you later. So we've got the one, the only Tim. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. Thanks for having me back on.
We won't ask any serious questions. Just we know that Aaron Ramsdale won't be starting the first Euros game. Before I just dropped that. So yeah, we're gonna. We've come to the end of the season. I know that was a few weeks ago, but I think we needed a bit of a cooling down time after some situations that happened at the end of the season. So I'm going to go around. We're going to ask a few questions, pick players like your player of the season, player who you thought was the most underwhelming, who overachieved, them sort of questions. So ideally, hopefully you've got all different ones. So that could be interesting. I forgot any of them, then gonna verbally just poke me. So, because that's what he's been wanting to do all season. So yeah, I'm going to start with a different one. I was going to start with player of the season, but I'm going to start with your signing of the season. So, start with Nat. Who would you say your signing season is?
I think I'm gonna go Emily Fox for this season. I think it was the one player I really didn't know that much about. Probably between her and Chloe, really. But I've been so impressed with her since she came in, and think she's only going to be. I always think it's difficult when a player comes in sort of mid-season as well. So I think she came in, hit the ground running, and I think you can, as you know, as we got towards the end of the season, you could see how much of a difference she's going to make when she's got a full season in an Arsenal shirt. And I'm trying not to get excited for next season because I did that last year and I was severely disappointed. So I'm going to go with, hopefully we just play well. But yeah, she was definitely, she made a big impression on me. As in, I think she might go on the back of a shirt. So she's pretty big for me. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought Emily Fox was one of the shining lights from, not the shining what Dan mentioned. So I'm going to go to you, Andrew. So I know you've had quite a few opinions on some of the new players that have come in. Who would you say your side is?
I mean, yeah, I think Emily Fox is the standout by quite some way. But I think I'll just give a quick shout out to Laia Cordina. Tough start. In the shadows of some amazingly when you think of, look at our back four now, and you've got Leah and Lotta, who are probably the best sort of twin centre backs, although they haven't played together that much going. But I thought, actually, she started off slowly, looked a little bit nervous in the Man United game in the first half. But towards the end of the season has come on really strong, and I think her upside is going to be there, and I think her other potential is to be the interaction that she has with the fans. I think the North Bank are going to love her as well. I think she's you can see kind of she's got an effervescent nature about her. She's really excited about to play, and I think that's going to be. I think she's one for the future, but. Just to that was, Natalie was right. Emily Fox stand out.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you don't Ayala. Yeah, I'll come to you, Tim, because it's a double question. So I wanted to get your thoughts on Russo this season, and obviously I know Russo's faced some big criticism, and I think it's quite to be fair.
Yeah, why don't I roll those questions together? Because I was probably going to go for Russo anyway. I think it was. I think there was definitely. It's probably overstating it to say it was a difficult start for her, but I think Arsenal wanted her to do slightly different things to what she was doing, and she was going a bit too deep. She was a bit too eager to get involved in areas that I don't think she needed to get involved in. And I think what Arsenal have been trying to do with her is to say, yeah, keep doing that stuff, but we still want you in the penalty area as well, because as we're seeing, I think in the last couple of months, she's really good in there, both for Arsenal and England. And I think I've spoken to Jonas Eid about it a lot in the second half of the season. He thinks there was a change after the London City Lionesses game where she comes on, she gets in the box, she scores a header, and Eidevall, after the game, completely unprompted, was talking about it and saying, that's what I wanted to do. That's what I've been asking her to do, kind of thing. And I think we've been seeing it a lot more ever since. And I think the way she's finished the season, where more than half of her goals came in the last 6 games, I think it really shows she's getting it now. And that England performance the other night, same deal. She's getting it. She's doing the link-up stuff, but she gets in the box a lot more. I think as well that was one of the reasons we struggled a lot with low blocks, because we just didn't have enough presence in the penalty area. I do think that's been ironed out, and I'm don't want to jinx anything, but I'm expecting a really big season from her next year. I think the penny's dropped.
No, I agree. Laura, I'll come to you as a bit of a follow-on from that. Do you think that Arsenal and Jonas maybe see Russo to kind of do the same sort of job what Bunny Shaw was doing?
I'm sorry, I think I kind of missed the last tail half of that question. But in terms of the comparison to Bunny Shaw, I think it's an interesting one, because I do think they are probably different styles of players, despite them both kind of playing in that number 9 role on occasion. I think Bunny Shaw has a big defensive contribution. I think she has some of the highest stats for defensive headers, and clearly is a presence in that way. But I don't know, in the same way that Russo always drops back and has that link-up play, you have potentially a little bit of a different system at City where they have, I think, more supply. I think the supply has been better for Bunny Shaw this season. I think that's why we've seen more goals for her. So hopefully, looking to next season, if we obviously have the players to create that supply for Russo, but I think Russo's role is potentially in that supply a little bit more as well than Shaw might be expected to provide, just because of the creativity that City clearly have. You've got Park, you've got Rudd, you've got Hemp, you've got Kelly, and all those players that come together where Shaw can act more as that physical presence of a poacher in the box sometimes, albeit she also does the link-up play well. And I think it will be really exciting to see next season if we can get those, and I'm sure we'll probably come on to touch on them, if we can get that kind of breaking down the low block a bit better, the penetration into the box a bit better and utilise those players that we have surrounding Russo a little better and work on those links, because I think the key thing with Russo this season is, it is for her first season, so to expect a 20-goal season first season, regardless of the type of player she is quite a big ask. But I also think she's not necessarily. I think Arsenal wanted to be that 20-goal season striker, and Shaw maybe is that kind of aspirational figure. But I don't think at the moment her role necessarily needs to be that 20-goal a season striker.
No, I agree. Also, who would your signing of the season have been?
I think I have to agree with Fox on that one. I think the impact that she's had, although she's come in later in the season and therefore maybe it's tempered with that, I just think she has had such a great end to the season. I think only that West Ham game is potentially her only loss. Could be. I know she played in the second half of the Chelsea game, but we were already 3-0 down by that point. Obviously missing a bit of time for the Gold Cup. So I think she has been super impressive and really added something to that right side.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's really pivotal what much Emily has done in that short amount of time. Paul, I'll come to you. Obviously, you're signing of the season, but also, do you feel a bit sorry for Kyra Cooney-Cross that she didn't get to feature a bit more, because we haven't really been able to see what she can do, have we?
Yeah, obviously we've got a very strong midfield as it is, and for a player like Kyra to come in and challenge for sort of regular first team football was going to be difficult. When you've got the likes of Kim Little, Leah Volti already established, and obviously Vicky P came in a year ago and sort of hit the ground running, so to speak. But I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of her, not just sort of a few minutes here and there, sort of towards the end of games that she seems to be getting. So I'm hoping moving forward to next season, of course, we'll have Champions League football as well in there. So hopefully someone like her can get a bit more game time and break in. Obviously, Vicky got an injury international the other day. We're still not quite sure exactly how bad that is. So fingers crossed it's not the dreaded ACL again. But that could be her time to come in if it is, or if the injury is worse than we hope. I think she would be the one that would come into that midfield for us.
Yeah. Before I go to Tim or Laura, do we know any more about Glover's injury, or has it not been made aware yet?
No announcement yet. I think there will be one probably early next week, I imagine, but nothing yet.
Cool. Just I didn't want to admit it. It's not a serious injury, and I'm a bit fed up of hearing about Arsenal's serious injury. And obviously, I was thinking you were going to go for Sarah Bahadi, but I doubt you are, as you're signing this season.
I feel like you've set me up because you want me to say about Chloe Lacasse, really, don't you? But yeah, I mean, maybe for two. I mean, definitely, I'd agree with Tim that I think Russo signing of the season. If not, probably you go for the American Soccer Federation signing Emma Hayes. Failing that as signing of the season, probably go with the inflatable tire on the North Bank. I know it didn't last very long, so maybe that. But yeah, I think apart from Russo, probably go for the inflatable tire from the North Bank.
Yeah.
Well played, Dan. Well played.
Yeah.
That went a bit like our title. Is there any?
No, not yet. Not yet.
So I'm gonna go back round. So I'm gonna go who you thought was we like a bit of negative talk on here. That's why we get Andrew on some. Who was your most underwhelming player this season? my my signing this season is probably Emily Fox as well, to be fair. But I'll go first with my underwhelming, just because I don't want anyone else to nick it. And people might look at me and think, what is he on about? So I am going to be the one who goes for Caitlin Ford. I know that's a bit harsh. I've played a lot of games inside. She really frustrated me. And I think someone in her position, like to respite. So, what do you think about that? I'll start with you, Laura.
Yeah, I think this is a tough one. I hadn't really given it too much thought before the show. I find it really hard picking an underwhelming player of the season, because I think sometimes it can be circumstances of the season and I guess how the team, to pinpoint a player, I'm not. I need a little more thought to pinpoint a player, because I don't just want to pick one out of thin air and not have anything to back it up. But I feel like there have been certainly areas, and I can understand why Caitlin Ford might be one of those named, because of the areas that we perhaps struggled in terms of crosses, and it's felt like at times we've been peppering the box with crosses and they've not really been connecting, and that has certainly been something that's been quite frustrating to watch. So I guess in that sense, you're kind of at risk of going for those players who were potentially what you might call a culprit of just pinging those crosses in. But I feel like that's probably more the case of the system that we were playing, and that it wasn't all quite connecting. I feel like I'm bottling it here, but potentially that might be quite fitting for our season. I might not be able to pinpoint a player. If you come back to me at the end, I might have a better answer for you. But on the spot, I'm going to struggle.
George, we've got Return of the Mel as well, who's joined us from work. Put Mel on the spot straight away.
No, there's no show, like I always say. How are you doing, Mel?
Yeah, I'm alright. You?
Yeah. We're talking about me and Nick George as always. So we're talking about a player who's the most underwhelming player of this season. So I'll go straight to you.
How long have we got? A bit controversial. I feel like I'm probably going to get hate for this one, so I'm just trying to shut my dog in here with me. So he's probably going to kick off in a minute. Beth Mead's probably my underwhelming player of the season. I feel that going off of the player she was pre-ACL, obviously big boots to fill, but she didn't come back with the bang that everybody expected her to, and there's been a lot of silly mistakes on her and a lot of silly mistakes on everyone's end. But yeah, I'm gonna have to be a bit controversial and say Beth.
A good answer, especially when the views go from about 1,000 just like that guy. I'll go to you, Tim, in response to you, or who you go for.
I probably won't use the word underwhelming, but I think probably Frida Mornham, just to go from like player of the season to, and I don't think it's entirely, I don't think it's her fault. I think essentially like the attack came to a stage last season where it was probably too much to say it was built around her, but she had really good partnership with Stina. And it probably was built around her in a way, and you know she was top scorer in the league and player of the season, and we haven't seen that really this year. Like I say, I think that initially she didn't gel that well with Russo, and then you've got Viv coming back from an ACL, and there's been a lot of change in that position, and then Stina plays so well that Russo starts playing in that position. So it's not been a bad season for Frida by any means, but obviously not up to the standards of last season. I think the really unfortunate thing is I thought she was really, really good in the Conti Cup final, probably with Manu Zinsberger and Lotte, like the three of the best players on the pitch. And then, of course, what happened. And I think that robbed her of the chance to have a really strong end to the season. But she scored for Norway the other day. And I just think there's so much talent in the player. And I do think she's a very, like, Jonas player. So, yeah, very keen to see what she produces next season. But I don't think she was bad. It's just when you go from player of the season to having a season like that, I think it's kind of difficult to deny. But like I say, I think there are a lot of mitigating factors for her.
Yeah. Future at Arsenal. Yeah. Tim, do you think Frida still has a future?
Yeah, I definitely do. Like I say, like Jonas really, really likes this player. There's a story he tells about when he was interviewed for the Arsenal job. He was like, one of the questions in the interview was, which three midfielders would you sign? And one of his answers was Frida, and he didn't realise the club had already signed her. So, like, this is a player he wanted who was actually at the club that he didn't really know. But yeah, I definitely think she does. But if she has another season like this next season, she might begin to consider her options, because, you know, there has been interest in her from like some quite big clubs last year when her contract was coming up. So I don't think she'd lack options, but I don't see her going anywhere for the time being.
I'll go to you. I'm going to change underwhelming to disappointment. I think what has been the biggest?
Who did you pick, George? You're just breaking up a little. You got a bit of Daleks with you tonight.
I go for Natalie.
What was it? What we're changing the word from? Underwhelming to what?
Underwhelming
Terrible.
to disappointment.
Oh. Wow. It's a bit of a difficult one. It's funny, every time I watch the game, if anyone ever stands near me, if Caitlin gets the ball, I just go, watch her, shimmy, 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 nothing. Which is all. The thing is, I think the problem. I've got many problems with everything. I'm not going to pick a player out. I agree, Tim, with what you said about Frida, and I was actually thinking about saying Frida. However, I'm most disappointed with corners. I'm just going to put it on that. And I think the biggest thing I'm disappointed from so many players is just that, just shooting. I think my favourite new chant I made up was pass it round the box, pass it round the box. Honest to God, like I think that's been the biggest frustration, disappointment. And I think there's so many players that have disappointed me from that angle, from being a supporter, that I can't pinpoint. I agree with what everybody's saying, but I think my biggest disappointment has just been how underwhelming as a team we played last year. And I think my biggest issue was we should have won the league based on those performances towards the end of the season. I think I'm just massively underwhelmed as an Arsenal fan, so I'll give myself the award.
I think we lost George for a minute. Paul, who would you say as most disappointing, or room for areas for improvement for next season?
I think in a few of the games, the whole team has been disappointing. A few games we should have won, they just haven't had their hearts in it. But the one that's a little bit disappointing for me, probably due to her not getting a load of game time, is actually Chloe. She has had moments of brilliantness down the wing, but I just don't think she's had a long enough run in the team to sort of gel with some of the other players. She's come on, she's had great minutes, but yeah, just needs a bit more time.
Well,
Are you there, George? Can you hear us all right?
yeah. Can you hear me, Matt?
A little bit. You say you're still breaking up a bit.
Ask the next question, and I'll try and sort my internet out.
Okay. Just when you said that, it sounded perfect. But I don't know. I don't think you've asked me have you. I'm going to be maybe more controversial than Mel and go for, I think, Katie McCabe. I don't think just for goals and assists this season, Katie's been a bit disappointing. I think Katie's been Katie on what we would expect from her for play, certain performances, but I just feel she can offer a lot more. I think she's had some really good performances for Ireland this season, where she's got a lot of goals and she's really looked great. And I think she's just not quite carried that over for Arsenal consistently enough this season. I'm trying to think. Andrew might know, or Mel say how many goals she has scored for us this season, but she seems to have been a bit down on numbers, I would say. And I think, I'm not saying, Katie, definitely for me, one of the first people in the team, first name on the team sheet probably, but I just feel next season there's just a bit of more room for improvement.
That's 3 goals for Katie this year, all in the WSL.
That man and ready.
I'm seeing as it's me. I think I'm going to caveat this with what Laura said, and it's about circumstances. Viviana Miedema, when you compare to who she was, and it's not disappointed in her in the whole situation, and sort of the recovery from the ACL seemed to take a long time, and I think we've all, it's well documented the struggles within the current setup, and it's culminated in what we've seen, and we've possibly let one of the best players, the best player I've ever seen, and I include Kelly Smith and Katie Chapman in that, the best player I've ever seen go, but it just wasn't working, and that's kind of what and I think the disappointment, not underwhelming, but it's disappointing that it came to that, and I think wherever she goes, she will be a success, but I just hope that doesn't come to bite us on the bum, and hope she goes to maybe America, or not just Europe, out of us, so she can't come and stick 5 past us.
Yeah, no, I agree. George must have a bit of connection problems, but I'm going to sort of move on a little bit to the next question. And this is a very teacher question from a teacher coming out there. What I would like everybody to do, and I'm going to think who I'm going to start with, probably Mel, to put you on the spot, is could you grade the season for us? So what do you think areas for improvement? If you're sat in front of Jonas at parents' evening and you're going to say how we've performed this season and how you've been, and if who's been naughty, that sort of thing.
What's the scale of the grade? Like,
I think, if we're getting Fs, we've got major problems. So we'll just stick to maybe, we'll go to F, A to F.
A C. It's not been bad. Could have been a lot better. Like Nat said, corners, set pieces, passing around the box has all been very, very underwhelming. And I think I'm also watching the Scotland game. I can't multitask. The set pieces has been severely disappointing this season. We've never been one of the best in the league at set pieces, but I think this year especially has sort of shown, I don't think it comes down to a lack of presence in the box, but more lack of a decent delivery. It's like watching the Australia game. They had Steph Catley on the free kicks, and she delivered one of the most pinpoint crosses I've ever seen, and it ended in a goal. So I don't know what she has to do at Arsenal to get in amongst it on the set pieces. Don't get me wrong, I love Katie McCabe and I think she's class, but sometimes I think she'd be more of a menace on the edge of the box than taking the set pieces constantly. Like, let Steph step up and let Katie just do what Katie does, be a menace and hit them from distance when they come back out.
Yeah, I agree. Tim, what about you for your grade for the season?
Yeah, I'd have to go C. I don't think you can realistically go higher than that. There wasn't a title challenge. Not getting into the Champions League group stage, which I think was, I think that caused a big ripple in the beginning of the season as well. So it's not just not getting in the group stage. I think that there was a hangover from that was very, very damaging as well. FA Cup was what it was. Lost an narrow game to Man City. It was a bit of a shame we got them so early, but I'm not as hung up on that. Obviously won the Conti Cup, the big one. But in terms of the league and the Champions League, I mean, the league challenge never really happened. Like in the second half of the season, there was never a point where you thought, oh, Arsenal might win this. And that's not really good enough for Arsenal. And, I think there's more mitigation in the Champions League because of when it was and everything like that. But I don't think anyone at Arsenal that thinks, and I don't think there are any people like this, don't get me wrong, but anyone at Arsenal that thinks that this wasn't a below par season doesn't really belong at Arsenal, quite frankly. And I think all of the players, all of the staff would say that this was a below par season, and that next season's a big one.
Yeah, definitely. Laura, what about you? Is this going to go down as the C season?
Yeah, it feels very C. I had C written down prior to this. I think potentially even a D if you're taking, I think teaching, isn't it, C's the average, right? So if we're going just below average, potentially even a D. But yeah, I pretty much agree with what's been said in terms of, I think it's probably in that C category because we did get a trophy, but was it the trophy that you'd have ideally wanted at the start of the season? Probably not. Would I happily have taken it? Probably. Take a win in the Conti Cup, absolutely. It feels like it's ours to win now. But I think, you want to be in and amongst that title race. Whether you win it or not, it feels very, very disappointing to have not been in contention and not been among those conversations. And I think we only stayed in it so long to make it a little bit more exciting in the media in terms of in that conversation. They strung us along with top three for as long as they could, but it felt pretty much after that Chelsea game where we lost 3-1, the Sockgate, that was it for us. And I think that was definitely disappointing. I agree with Tim about the Champions League. You can't forget that we weren't in that. And I think in some ways, whilst that felt not okay, but it was understandable off the back of the World Cup a little bit, I think it almost made the league campaign more disappointing because you're challenging against a Chelsea side who A, didn't look at their best, and B, they had more flaws than we've seen in them in prior seasons. So it looked like a real opportunity. They were fighting on four fronts for most of the season. And then obviously City were more impressive, but still beatable, which we showed. And I think it feels like the circumstances of the league made the season more disappointing than it could have been because there wasn't that dominant figure. And if we'd have got our act together, there was a real opportunity there. And I think the manner in which we potentially lost points against the likes of your West Hams and your Tottenhams, it's almost just like what could have been if we'd have managed to get a little bit better in those performances.
Yeah, I agree. Paul, what about you? I mean, you agree with, everyone obviously making very valid comments, and it's difficult to disagree with stuff, but it was the same for you, just sort of grading or lower or?
Yeah, it was an average season. It was the bare minimum. I think I said it a couple of weeks ago. The bare minimum was to finish third and get a Conti Cup, but it's not what we'd have all taken at the beginning of the season. You want to be up there. You want to be fighting for the title. You want to be competing with the best teams and the best players in Europe. And to get knocked out of the Champions League in the manner that we did, it just felt really sort of disappointing before our season had even started. We're out of the biggest trophy in Europe. And then as the season progressed, I mean, we got the defeats away at West Ham, Tottenham. We got the away draw at Everton. We scraped an away win at Bristol City in the early stages of the season. So our away form against those lower league clubs was really bad. That's where we threw our season away. we got 2 wins against City. We did beat Chelsea at the Emirates. We beat Man United at the Emirates. We beat the big teams at the top. We were really struggling away against the lower teams. I think that's really where the improvement next season has got to come from. It's almost as if sometimes the team as a whole got a bit complacent, maybe. Thought, oh, it's only Everton, it's only Bristol City, we should be able to whack 4 or 5 goals in here. And then they struggle. So I think that's one of the key areas to work on next season.
Yeah. What about for you, Nat, as well?
Yeah, I think I agree with absolutely everything everybody said. I think I've never been so happy that Paris FC beat Wolfsburg, because it just made us being knocked out of the Champions. I was like, it wasn't just us. Wolfsburg got knocked out as well. And I was just like, thank God for that. I mean, it was, I think as soon as when we got knocked out of the Champions League, I thought, right, season's ours. We've done that on purpose. We can concentrate on the league. And then we all went to the Emirates and we lost against Liverpool. And I went, oh God. And then we went to United. And I just think, like, you look at that game, we should have won that game. Both goals against us were errors. I never celebrated so much that Lacasse equaliser at United away. And then I think it was on the last game of the season, I spoke to a few people and I was like, it's only when you look back now, after we beat City, the one game we all actually didn't mind losing, and we have to come back and beat them 2-1. And I thought, oh my God, like that, we should have won the league. Like, how did we lose against West Ham? Manu Zinsberger assist, sorry. And, and that Tottenham game, I missed that game. I watched that at home and it was excruciating. And I think I would give us I'm going to go with a C- because it was the season that should have been everything we were all feeling really deflated. And I think as a supporters, I think we've done really, really well to push on and grow and stick behind a team that have absolutely give us nothing to sing about on certain games. And we were still singing the whole way through, getting battered by Chelsea, watching them run around in their own, in Chelsea socks. And I just think we deserve an A star, and they need to look in the mirror and go, mate, you need to turn up. Taking us all to the Emirates now next season for however many games. Like, we've got to be. If we come out of next season with just the Conti Cup, I'm not even going to the final if we get there. I'm not having it. So, but I agree with what everyone said. I'm hoping that. I just want us to have a decent corner. I don't know what's the matter with. What do they do in training? Honestly, I don't get it. I don't know how we can have. We must have had the most shots on for a team, and as in shot to goal percentage, ours must be the worst one out of that Tottenham game. How many shots on target did we have? Like 30, and Tottenham had 1 shot on, and we came away with absolutely nothing. So anyway, thanks for the therapy this evening, guys. It's really helping get over it.
Andrew, I mean, do you think, obviously agree with what everybody's saying, but do you think it has been a season of just a few fine lines here and there? We lose to Paris on penalties, we lose 1-0 to City. What did we lose the lead by? 5 points. 6 more points we've got. We could easily have picked them up for this. Is it just them small details that has just made the season look far worse than actually maybe what it actually was?
In some cases, yeah. I think, yeah, the anytime you go to penalties, it's almost a bit of a coin flip to a degree. But equally, this is, just to echo what Tim was saying, this is Arsenal. We should have been battering teams like Paris FC, and same as Natalie. I was like pointing at Wolfsburg, but that was bullshit, wasn't it? We this is Arsenal. We should have battered them, and there were mitigating circumstances. And I suppose the only caveat I would give is if you don't mind, Headmaster Dan, if we just grade the last term, and barring the Everton game, maybe we give ourselves a B+. I think the shoots are there. Like, we were saying, Russo's kind of emergence into the striker that we needed. Emily Fox, kind of for a right back having such an impact is there. I think I think, and I do this every season anyway, but I think I'm really confident for next year. And there's a lot of ducks in a row we've got, but equally, there's with what's going on at Chelsea now, no matter how brilliant the manager is, that they're going to go through some major upheavals. So yeah, if it's okay, well, I'll give a B+ for the second half of the season.
I thought I was being optimistic with a B-, but a B+, Andrew. You've done
for the second half of the season. So that's not Liverpool, not Manchester, not Tottenham.
Are you sticking with we're going to win the treble next season then?
I've never said
the last couple of shows. So.
Just the WSL. I don't care about the rest. Although actually, I do fancy going to Oslo for the final of the good. WSL. So we'll bin off the FA Cup and the Conti Cup. George, what about you? Are you back? Can you hear us? You all good?
I hope you can hear me. So I was probably going for a D, if I'm honest. I like how Andrew said the B+, but we won't worry about quarter of the games in the WSL.
Last 5 games.
I think there has been some positives. For me, there's a lot more negative, but that's when you don't have a great season. Andrew does remind me of Del Boy out of Only Fools and Horses. This time next year. So I do, but I'm inclined to agree with what everyone else has said. Do you have any comments, Dan?
Just a few gradings. So everyone's sort of saying about grading C's, and just obviously want to make sure that you can go on in the North Bank channel and you can subscribe to the YouTube. And if you're bored in the week and want to watch this back or any of the previous shows, please feel free to. But no, if everyone's just ready for the next question, Josh.
Cool. So next question we're going to go for is, I'm going to go for who was your player of the season and why. I'm going to start. I think I already know the answer to this. I'm going to start with Mel.
Jem, you can't say Jem beat you, Mel.
Listen, Jem Beattie will never do any wrong in my eyes. However, she did leave us. She did leave me. Still not really over it. I feel like I don't want to say Lotta because obviously she was player of the season. So I feel like Lotta aside, because everyone wants to say Lotta, and I feel like you want us all to say different things here. Judging on the fact that we've only had her since the winter transfer window, not all backed up by the fact that I'm currently wearing a jersey with her name on it, but Emily Fox has been outstanding. And for a player who's done not just one, but both of her ACLs, and who have only been playing professional football, well, what we would class as professional football since she joined the NWSL 3-4 years ago, I think she has slotted into the team and has made a massive impact almost immediately. I think if we had her at the start of the season, no offense to Noelle Maritz, but I think we could have been a very, very different club if we managed to secure her last summer rather than in January.
Yeah, that is actually, it shows how well I know you, because that's actually who I thought you were going to go. I will go with Laura. Who would you say your player of the season is?
Yeah, I think Lotta's obviously up there to be a bit different. I think potentially Victoria Pelova. I think she's had a fantastic season and offered creativity and kind of those through balls into the box and around the box and further away from the box in a way that we've potentially lacked a little bit this season. And I think she has been that bright spark often. And I think often I'll go to a game and just end up thinking, wow, she's what a player Pelova is. And I think to cement her place in the midfield in the way she has this season, kind of really matured into the side in a midfield with Little and Valti, and you're thinking, you know what, Pelova is absolutely a starter here. I think she's been absolutely superb. And yeah, it's kind of a shame to see her get injured in the Netherlands match, obviously hoping it's not too bad, but I think she's had such a good season, and I can only really sing her praises, because I do think in a team that we've kind of spoken about being a little bit underwhelming, she's certainly stepped up this season. And I think that's something that's really impressive, despite the team potentially having dropped off a little bit this season, that it feels like she has stepped up. So yeah, I think I'd go for Pullover outside of Wubben-Moy, or between those two for me.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one, actually, about Pullover. Go to you, Nat. Who's your player?
Well, I was going to say Pullover, and then I was like, "Oh, right, I need to go to my third now." But I agree with what you said about Pullover. I think it was against Chelsea, actually. She did a little turn in the right in the middle of the park, like right on the centre circle, and I was literally just like, "Oh my God, did everybody just see what she did?" Because my favourite ultimate player is Kira Walsh, so I love that midfield area, and I can watch her all day. But I'm not going to go with her. I'm going to go with our absolute will get us out of any mess, deserve to play every minute of the season, Stina Blackstenius. I'm going to have to. She's the only reason we came out of this season with anything. The only thing I will say, the most annoying thing about Stina Blackstenius this season is the fact that, I don't know if you all saw the clip of Sam Kerr thanking her kindly after they won the WSL. She literally went, "Thank you, Blackstenius," because obviously she got those 2 goals against Man City. So that was a negative bit. However, Stina for me has been, to think when we went back to last January and all that crap with, potentially Russo coming in and, we got behind her and everything. She's such a quiet player. And obviously Russo's coming in the summer. Everybody's talking about Russo, but it was Stina to the rescue. The Conti Cup was her cup the whole way through. And she just, you wanted her to come on, and I'm so glad she signed an extension, and I'm really excited for her and Russo going into next season. Obviously Lotta, I think, has been incredible. I agree with Emily and Pullover, but I think for Stina to do what she does in spite of everything else, in spite of all the chat that she's had to deal with, and the fact that she hasn't started, and nothing will be better than her falling over, handballing the ball, and then nutmegging 2 people to score against Villa. I mean, how that didn't get goal of the season, I don't know, but yeah, I think it's going to be Stina Blackstenius for me.
Yeah, I agree. I really don't know that, didn't it? And there should be a bit of an investigation in that, but we'll move on. I'll come to you, Paul. Like your player of the season, and if you want to go for someone obvious, you can.
I was actually going to say Stina. Anyway, so I totally agree with what Nat's just been saying. She dug us out of that hole against Man City, even though we wouldn't have minded a draw or any other result. But yeah, she came on. She got those ones. Whenever she's called upon, she's just there for you. And she hasn't got as many starts as probably she would have liked this season. But yeah, she's there. That's what the players are there for. They come on, they just hit the ground running, get the goals. I think another one just to mention, and this is just where statistics can prove anything, that our best, not say best, but we conceded the least number of goals when Katie Reid was on the pitch. She's our only defender that gets a full clean sheet.
Yeah,
but again, that's just where statistics can be very misleading. But yeah, just
that's right. That's why Paul for stats like that, so it's fine. Tim, your player of the season?
Yeah, I feel like everyone's dodged the obvious because everyone feels like they're going to say the obvious. I mean, it's Lotta. And that was very, very resounding in both of the votes in the supporters club and the website. I think the thing is with Lotta, just really taken 1 or 2 steps forward. I think she was playing well anyway, because Leah and Haffa were picking up quite a lot of injuries in the last 2 seasons. The fact that Lotta can play on the right or the left, the centre back pairing, she actually got quite a few minutes, but the fact that we don't really talk about the fact that we started the season, obviously didn't have Leah for the first half and Haffa left in the summer, like and Laura Wienreuter getting injured as well. That's like 3/4 of the first choice back four, really, from last season gone. And I think that Lotte, the way she stepped up and kind of made that a non-issue, something that we didn't really talk about, is just full credit to her performance. And I think Manu as well as Innsberger. She was kind of my top three: Lotte, Manu, Victoria Pelova, and Manu. I think she's improved incredibly. I don't really understand why people aren't seeing it. I do feel like minds have been made up and perhaps aren't really open to it. But the numbers tell you as well, and my eyes tell me. I think she's been really, really good, really strong, and picked up in areas where she's previously been weak. But for me, it's all about Lotte, and I think Lotte's come to that age as well now where she's like, look, I'm not just here because I'm an Arsenal fan, and I'm not just here because it's nice. I'm here to take a shirt. I'm here to start games. I'm here to get in the England team. And on top of that, and this isn't really relevant to player of the season, but it is really relevant when you support a club, what like a fantastic ambassador she is for Arsenal. And there's, stuff that's just gone out on the Arsenal Women Twitter feed about all of the stuff that she's been doing in the community. Any player that outrightly asks for more community work to be written into their contract is a very special player to have as well. And obviously that's not about performances, but that means we're really lucky, I think, to have a player like this in the squad who's from the area, playing like this, giving back to the area, and just being such an all-round great ambassador for the club as well. So Lotte, by miles, player of the season for me.
Yeah, I didn't know that about the more community work. So I think, like you say, Tim, not like just a special player, it's a special person as well. So yeah, I have to agree with that. Where you were saying about Manu as well. I could laugh already. So move straight to Andrew. So yeah, who do you reckon?
I'm going. It seems like she lost the popular vote, but within this group, it's Stina for me. Not a lot to add to what has already been said, only that it just seems a shame because I think she's not going to see a great deal of time, or not as much time, which might actually, I think the less time you give us, the more goals she scores. So just give her a minute and she'll get 30. I mean, she got 18 this year, and in 18 minutes it feels like. But I think, with Alessia kind of as improvement, we're going to, if Mariona's coming in, he looks at Tim and Laura.
I know.
I think Stina's going to get less time next year. But if that works with more goals, then fair enough. But yeah, that's all to say really.
Yeah. Is that official yet, or? I saw stuff, so I wasn't sure if it was official yet, but I think we all know it's happening. So yeah, I think I don't know with Stina, but it gives different options, doesn't it? Like when it gives you a bit of plan B. I don't know what you think about that, Dan.
Yeah, definitely. No, so I've been saying on here for a while that I'd like to see them playing together up front instead of just with, say, Alessia dropping a bit deeper. I think just go back to a bit more of a old school traditional two up front. Why not? They seem to enjoy playing one another alongside with one another, and it's just a partnership that can grow. Obviously, there's some games that maybe suits one and suits the other for certain matches, but I think just give them game time, let them build up the relationship, and it's great that we're very lucky. There's not many teams in the WSL that have two strikers of that level. I don't think anybody else does really. So yeah, we are very lucky that we've got that.
Yeah. Was there any other?
No, nothing more. Everyone is engrossed tonight. I think really, it's everyone's just saying they're enjoying the show, and it's good to have you back tonight, George.
Yes, thank you. Was there any other questions you wanted to ask Dan? Because I can't remember.
You forgot them all. What have we not covered with 5 minutes to go? Well, I think probably so maybe one more for everybody. But as a quick one, taking away the Conti Cup, what has been just maybe for you as your personal moment of the season? So I'm going to start with Nat for that one.
Okay, I am going to go with it's difficult, really. I think I am going to go with the Villa comeback. I think Beth Mead coming on and making an immediate impact. That goal from Katie McCabe at the narrowest of angles, running straight behind the net, getting us all going. And we needed that win. I was really worried about going back to the Emirates after we lost against Liverpool. Really tough against United away, and we really needed it. And I thought we were going to F it up again when we were losing 1-0. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Villa comeback. Really enjoyed that. Definite great moment in the Emirates as well. Like to have some joy in the Emirates for the first time last season. Yeah.
What about on a sort of more personal level? Like follow. I know you sort of fuck up miles now with.
I know, yeah, just shy of 10,000 miles. I'm actually genuinely, I think from a personal note, is the fact that I actually managed all but 2 games this season. And last season, I thought I did pretty well towards the end. So I think the fact that I actually managed to get to as many games as I did, I had it in my head. You know, I did all the Conti Cup games, bar London City Lionesses, and I did every league game except for Tottenham away. So I think, and I'd also just like to give a little shout out to my car for not dying on me. Yeah. So, and the next season is not miss a game. It depends whether we do Champions League, but definitely no missing any FA Cup, Conti Cup and league games next season. So
Mel, what about for you? Are Scotland still losing or?
No, Scotland just scored, actually. Thank you very much. Hence the little fist bump in the corner.
England are losing still, so.
Love that. It's like a repeat of last week when Scotland women won and England women lost, and I had a great time. No offense to every single one of you. I will take all the little victories because we're not seeing much of this Euros. So, I've got to agree with Nat on the Villa game, mainly because I wasn't actually supposed to be there. I'd landed from a holiday in Greece on the Saturday and was supposed to be playing, ironically enough, Kim Little's youth team on the Sunday, but the game got cancelled. So I phoned my coach and I was like, listen, if I change my flight and don't turn up to training, would you care? And he was like, just do whatever you want to do. I really don't care anymore. So I got to be there. I've got a literal scar on my hand from when Russo scored that goal because apparently I punched one of my friends in the mouth. We still don't know who it was. Nobody's ever came forward to identify the tooth print in my hand. But I literally can't leave the Emirates without some form of injury. It's diabolical for me. But also the Chelsea game, I feel like nothing will ever top watching us run them absolutely ragged in the Emirates. Sam Kerr leaving the pitch in tears. Emma Hayes' reaction to what was it, goal 3 and goal 4, where she just sort of like puffed her cheeks out and walked back towards the bench. Loved that. And then on a personal note, I have just dropped my mum's work stuff all over the floor.
You won't mind. Pick it up later, Mel. It's fine. It's fine.
Really hoping none of her files were in any form of order because now they are not.
We're edited, Mel. It's fine. I know.
It's fine. She's not going to watch this. She's not going to know it was me. She will. On a personal note, one of my absolute favorite people in the world and my best friends managed to get over. He moved over this year from Lebanon, and me and him met after the Chelsea game for the first time. And singing to getting to witness him really on a personal note for me.
What about for you, Tim? Let's say a bit more on a personal. No, I'm obviously never clocked up the matches for the men and the women this season. But how have you been impressed with just how everything has grown again this season. So with the fan base and just.
Yeah, 100%. I think there are two things for me, both really related to that. One, I know you said not the Conti Cup, but it's not the game so much. It was like I was just off to the side of the stand that you were all in, and them playing the Angel at the end. And obviously, like at Molineux, it's a nice like cop stand, one steep stand. And you look at the other end, at the Chelsea end, and there's you're counting like 25 people, and the stark contrast to the Arsenal end. But I just think at the end when the players went over and they were playing The Angel by Louis Dunford, and it's lovely to see from my position, just like red and white scarves everywhere, everyone singing it. The stadium DJ obviously not being familiar with the lyrics and playing the entire first verse, which was a real highlight as well. So that like that for me was a real, because like I think when people talk about the crowd and the attendances at Arsenal, that's obviously a big part of the story, but I think they almost miss the part of the story which is what comes with that, which is like the fan culture, the community, like you go to most other WSL grounds, like they don't have chants for players, they don't have thousands of people, they don't have this sense of culture and community that I think Arsenal fans have worked really, really hard to create, and that doesn't come from the club. A club can't do that, only the fans can do that themselves. So watching all of that take off has been huge. From a more personal standpoint, I guess, like another thing that really told me things have changed and really kind of accelerated very, very quickly was reporting on the Russo transfer last summer. Like I knew there would be big interest in that. I knew that was going to be different. And it was the first time I felt competitive about like breaking a transfer story, because once I had everything lined up, I was a bit like, if I know this, there must be other people who are close to knowing this much. So I want to like, obviously I've got to be right and get it accurate and everything, but like, I want to get this out. I want to be the person to do this. And I did expect it to have a lot of interest, but like the level of interest was much, much bigger than I was expecting. And that was just like a little personal way, I guess, of understanding, wow, this is really taking off now. And this is like the level, like the, not just the level of interest, but the excitement and everything that kind of came with that was absolutely enormous. And that was, yeah, that's something I think I'll always remember as like a little bookmark in I guess my personal kind of journey with Arsenal women, as it were.
Lovely. What about for you, Laura, as well? I mean, what's your sort of journey been with the team this season? Ups and downs, obviously.
Yeah. Well, this has like really been my first like full season covering like a season of football as a journalist, if you like. I've done it a little bit before, but this has been like my first full season, and I've always tried to kind of keep Arsenal as like not being in the press area and going as a fan, because I probably wouldn't be very good at reporting neutrally on it for the outlets that I'd report on it for. So but then the last game of the season actually against Brighton was the first time I'd been in an Arsenal press box. So I think that was pretty special to go to Meadow Park and be in a press box. And obviously the kind of emotion surrounding that occasion, with it being Viv's last game, and to be in the ground for that, just witnessing it, and personally to be in a press box at Arsenal for the first time, it was kind of really fulfilling, I guess, a childhood dream in that sense. In terms of games, I think the Chelsea win at the Emirates, I'm all here for home and away ends, but I was actually sat next to my friend who was a Chelsea fan for that game, so it was very high stakes, and it was a bit of a gamble from me because I'm not a very good loser, but to kind of sit there at half time knowing that we probably had it in the bag. Although you kind of sat there going, no, you will come back, because you still got that fear that at the end of the game he's going to be celebrating. But no, that was brilliant. And I think at that point in the season, you're kind of like, you know what, there was kind of that wobbly start, and then you get that 4-1 win against Chelsea at the Emirates, and you're like, you know what, we could do this here, and you've got that hope. So I really enjoyed that moment. And yeah, going to the pub after that one with a Chelsea fan was lovely.
Paul, what about for yourself? For any matches stand out? So personal incident?
Yeah, I mean, as far as matches go, it's got to be that Chelsea game at the Emirates. Just seeing Emma Hayes' face as those goals were just going in, it was just something different, and it just showed that they were actually beatable, and not just beatable, scraping it. They were seriously beatable, and there was that hope then that actually we could go all the way and do this. Especially, as much as we hate to be out of the Champions League, but without those games, sort of getting the fixture pile up towards the end of the season, we could have gone on to win it. But on a personal note, I just think what the club has done, what the fans, the club as a whole have done about building the atmosphere, not just within the ground, but it's in the pub beforehand, it's in the WhatsApp chats for the weeks in between the games. It's just walking into a pub or coffee shop up in Manchester for the City game, and there's always someone there that you can just chat to. And yeah, we've just built that over the course of the last couple of years, and it can only get better moving into next season. And I think everyone's got their little part to play in that. And I think we've done it absolutely fantastically. There's no other club that could beat us, really.
Yeah, no, definitely. Same for you, Andrew?
Absolutely, yeah. There's been good progress on that side of things. And just to sort of echo what Tim said, with the transfer news, it's you've reached something where you have to avoid all the fake accounts. That's something of claiming who's signed for us, who's definite signed. So it feels like we've it's not the nicest of indicators, but you're in the big time when there's people faking accounts of who signed for you. But for the game that gave me the purest joy, it was Leicester away. 2-0 down, and it was that part of the season where we were having some real doubts, and then 6 unanswered goals, and it was for me, I was kind of there was a couple of really good versions of Northland, the Angel, should I say, in that as well. But just it was that was me just enjoying football. But once we got 4-2 up, it just felt silly, and we were scoring for fun. And there's some really nice goals in there as well. So that would be my kind of isolated highlight. Yeah.
No, I'd like to say the last Emirates game, Leicester game, wasn't it? It's just to sort of say again for the Angel at the start. Just seeing the first game where it seemed like the whole of the lower tier, everyone had their scarves up, and for a sort of meaningless game that it was a great start. And you do feel again. So I keep saying when we get one of them late night games in the Emirates in the dark under the lights, and we've got the Angel going, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. But just on a slightly smaller level, I'd say just for George, before I go to him, just when he sort of sent me that WhatsApp message about saying he's got this idea, he wants to do this little podcast and set up a community where we just sort of from 6-7 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock at night, depending who's down the pub. We just messaging one another and chatting about Arsenal and what things that are going on and putting our thoughts together for the week. And it's just been a good little organic community that has grown. And we thank you for that, George.
No problem. Making me blush.
I'll drink to that.
The only problem I've got is Andrew nicked my answer. I was hoping that no one was going to say the Leicester game. But I've got it for different reasons. Just because when it went to 2-0, Lewis basically said, "That's it, I'm going," or "I'm Leicester." So yeah, and every time I took a bite out of my sausage roll, we scored. So, so a bit of for the people, it was a bit of a fun time. I'd say my personal thing is, I would probably say it's the podcast and all the support that everyone's gave me this season. So I'd just like to thank everyone who's come on the podcast and Dan for dealing with my stressy times when things go wrong with technology. So yeah, I just thanking you guys for all your support. Really, that's more my personal side of it. So yeah, now we've done all the romantic stuff. We will. Is there any final comments, Dan?
I have to say, people again saying about Stina for player of the season, and obviously, a lot of praise for Lotta for how great she's been and what a great ambassador she is for our club, and we are all very proud of having her.
Yeah, cool. So that is the end of season review. We can all have a break for a little while. I was going to say a football break, but we can't because the Euros are on. I just once again just want to thank everyone for watching and all the people that have helped to promote the show. It really means a lot. We will still have shows throughout the summer. We're going to have a series of something called Gooner Stories, where we go to people's to see what their journey is with Arsenal. And I think the first one is actually me, and I have not told him this yet, but I am delegating that to Andrew and Dan to be asking questions. So
you broke up a bit there. Did you say Mel's doing it?
no, we can't.
Sorry, Joe.
We can't do that. So we have to do that in the pub.
Joel, sorry, one little thing I just butt in and say, sorry, I know because someone who has supported you on Twitter and that, we're just sort of sending out a bit of Arsenal love and good wishes to Kevin Campbell, who's not been too well. So I know we just sort of, it was announced just sort of during the show, maybe last week. So we're just sort of sending our all good thoughts and hope, Kevin, you can make a recovery and get back out there. Because I've been lucky to meet Kevin a couple of times just at matches, and he's absolutely fantastic guy. Remember him, one of my heroes growing up, as fantastic in that '91 Arsenal team. So, yeah, hope you get better soon, Big Kev.
Yeah, definitely a really nice man as well. So yeah, so we will still have stuff going on. So keep an eye out. Once again, I just want to thank all my guests for coming on. Tim, thanks for all your help and everything coming on.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I'll catch up with you. Laura, thank you. You've been amazing, and hope you can come on again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Nat, thank you for coming on. I'm actually going to miss you in the close season. So,
oh no, thanks. Don't worry, there's another pod coming in a couple of weeks. I'm just slowly editing it. That's all. So
that's right.
Yeah,
and I know you're going to miss my blind jokes, Nat. So.
Yeah. Don't worry. They're all there. I need to get you to record some for the pod so I can just have them as little sound clips.
That is you like text message alerts.
I know. Yeah. In fact, I will just say, George, last game of the season, really enjoyed. We definitely was going with the Viv Miedemar chants. We were both encouraging the North Bank up at the back there. That was good fun with you, man. And I meant to message you actually after the last game. So I listened to those clips quite a lot when it took me 10 hours to edit the last episode of the season. So
yeah, I felt like I was doing that Miedemar song for about.
Yeah, I think again it was all we kept doing. So yeah.
Paul, thank you for coming on, mate. It's always great to have you on.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
Thank you. Who have I forgot? Oh, the main man. Andrew. I know we banter each other, but I really appreciate all your support and everything you do.
Cheers, Gaffer. We're going to win the league.
Cheers, Del Boy. Dan, like the show wouldn't really happen if it wasn't for you doing all the stuff behind the scenes. Thank you.
No, it's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure. And England are going to win the Euros because there are no Spurs players in the squad. So yeah, it's going to happen.
Just saying, the captain is still Harry Kane. He went to Munich to win trophies.
Won a lovely golden cannon, didn't he? So
Yeah.
On that note, all have a lovely summer. Actually, sorry, Mel, I want to say thank you to you for all the help you've helped with the podcast and in person. Like, there's been some time for like So you've been amazing.
There's no problem at all, and I know you're always willing to drink Jaeger bombs with me in the pub, so
Yeah, cool.
very much appreciated.
No problem at all. I use it. So yeah, everyone, please like, share, keep subscribing, and if there's anything else you want to see on the shows, get in touch, and we will see you in a couple of weeks and next season. So all have a lovely summer. Good night.